T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Own it, own it, own it, Kong. I own it. It did.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
Hey, happy Monday, and welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet, and welcome to our WoW Superheroes After Show. Of course, I'm your girl, Stephanie Hardy, host and creator of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, host and writer for Women's Wrestling Talk, and color commentator for the Belladonna Division, Battle Club Pro, and Black Girl Magic 2. And of course, I am not alone. I am with the iconic visionary, the host and creator of In Cat We Trust, and ultimate supermom, Katrina Blake. How are you, Kat?
Oh, it's such a nice intro. I'm okay. It's been a crazy few days. We're coming off my daughter's birthday, and then it's been a bit hectic Monday, but I am happy to be here. Tired, but very happy to be here.
Yes, and of course we send happy birthday, belated birthday wishes to your baby. She's not a baby anymore, but as you divulged to me, she's not a baby anymore, but at the same time, she's growing, and that's a beautiful thing. So we send our well wishes for her and her young life as it gets started, and as you continue to be her mom and, do all the things and plant all the good things in her for her to become a great person, just like you. So, yeah, this episode, hey, Nikki, this episode of WoW Superheroes. Oh, really? Okay, Nikki. Shout out to Nikki, our senior writer. First time watching WoW. Yeah, it was a lot going on. Lots of new stuff, like lots of new graphics and everything. They're trying to do it up before the season is even over, but I appreciate it because sometimes you got to upgrade in the middle to make stuff interesting. So, Kat, how did you feel about this episode of WoW?
Pretty solid. I believe we had an intro to a new superhero. I believe, at least I recall, the first time I'm seeing her, and so that was pretty cool. We had some good matchups, and of course, finally we got the tag title. Finally got the finals for that, and so it was pretty solid episode. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was really solid. And then it was here again, it was a very storyline based kind of episode where you got to know more of the girls, but at the same time it was very storyline based with some of the superheroes that we're used to seeing a lot of the time. So it was still really cool in that aspect, and it was just, awesome. And the main event was really awesome too, but also full of drama, and I can't wait to get into that. But in the meantime, this really big wrestling weekend took place, and WoW was a great part of it. So let's start with with the opening of the episode. First of all, the opening of the episode showed David McLean, of course, the founder of WoW, in his office, and he got confronted by Candy Crush, who is, of course, looking for revenge against the person who she now knows destroyed the gloves that her late grandmother gifted to her, which is Chainsaw. And she was very hell bent and determined to get her hands on her and whoever else, might have possibly had to do with the destruction of her gloves. And he basically said that, okay, in order for you to qualify to get your hands on whoever destroyed your gloves, you have to fight in this match coming up now tonight against a newcomer. So she was like, okay, bet, I got you. So it goes into the opening, of course, and then we see Lauren Hunkel, who has this amazing outfit on, which I loved. It was gray and it was just bell bottoms, which is, of course, one of my favorite styles. If you've ever seen me anywhere, like I wear all kinds of bell bottoms like all the time, and because they're just so comfortable and then they're just so cute. Like if you want someone who loves 70s style just like superhero Foxy Fierce, I am just like that. I am just like that. I love style like that. So Lauren really did it. The ring announcer is so stylish, and I just want to know, like, where did she who oh my God, what type of inspiration she has. But either way, she announced the first match. And of course, this first match was between Candy Crush and a newcomer in the form of Robbie Rocket. Now, on commentary, David McLean was telling Stephen Dickey and AJ Mendez that he found Robbie Rocket in the on it at an independent show. And he said, well, okay, while I'm scouting talent, let me just see what I can find. And he found her and actually waited for the end of the show so he can give her his information about WoW, and she decided to come here. So here we are. This is our first time seeing her go up against someone as established as Candy Crush, and they fought in a match that was a lot longer than some of the matches normally are within this hour time frame, but it was still really good. You saw Candy Crush, who they did say on commentary who is of course more experience with boxing and also a lot more experience with her MMA stuff, sort of carry her weight throughout this match and just be a little bit more aggressive. And she came out with her grandmother's boxing gloves, but they were, of course, sewn back together because when they were thrown back at her by Chainsaw, they were ripped up and the cushion was all out, like in the mind of a pillow. So basically, she repaired them and brought them out with her. But this match was really good. Like Nikki did say in the comments, I enjoyed it very much. Robbie Rocket had a really good showing here as well. But in the midst of it, you had some more shenanigans, as Katrina would say, as the match got, in its toughest part. And on the screen, another update that we got in the WoW arena was a screen, and on that screen you had Siren the voodoo doll basically messing and getting into the head of Candy Crush and saying that she looked into the future and she can see that she was going to lose the match. And Candy Crush didn't take too kindly to it, but of course it did wind up coming out the way that Siren said it would, and Robbie Rocket rolled her up for after the distraction and won the match. So Robbie Rocket wound up winning her debut match, and Candy Crush is now out, as we kind of know at this point, is out of the running to fight against whoever destroyed her gloves. But after that happened, she cut a promo talking about how she's ready to take on whoever, destroyed it, whether it be Siren, Holiday, or Chainsaw. And AJ and David both said they felt like, oh, well, she has a death wish. But then AJ actually said that was really cool. So after that, she seemed very impassioned and ready to fight whoever she had to go through in order to get vengeance, for the spirit of her grandmother and those gloves. So Katrina, how did you feel about this match, and how do you feel about Robbie Rocket's performance, and how do you feel about Candy Crush getting ready to run through whoever she has to run through?
I thought it was a good match. A nice open to WoW. I totally said when we got to speak to her in LA, we understood. I mean, I felt like we understood previously before that as far as how she felt about the gloves. I've been there with something very sentimental and something happened to it. I was very upset about it. And so that's totally like a relatable feeling. And so we kind of had a better idea of how she truly felt about that situation. And so I totally understand kind of like when you're in that mood, it's like kind of gloves off. Every as the saying go, the hands are rated E for everyone. Just I feel like that's where she's at right now, and I understand it. Like it's a sentimental value. Those things sometimes hold more weight to you than something overly expensive, and so I understood it. Liked the match. I thought even with Robbie, because again, she's new to me. I thought she did pretty well. Again, I've never seen this. There's a few women in WoW that I know previously in other promotions and other things, and so she's actually somebody I've not seen before. And so I was like, okay, all right, I'm liking what's happening. I'm liking what we're seeing here, and so I'm kind of interested to see, you know, it's a weird thing, and I guess that they're now putting more newer people popping up towards like I guess the end all the months that we've been watching so far. Because like last week we also got somebody new. But I'm all for it. Again, there was a few women on the roster on the website at least where you kind of like, okay, I'm wondering who this person's gonna be or how they're gonna be play into all of the matches. And so I thought it was a good open. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Robbie does. But I also understood everything Candy Crush was like, it's a sentimental things always just has a different like I feel like weight on like the mind, on the spirit, and everything like that. And so it's like I can't even fault her necessarily. Like I because I've been there, and so it's like, can you really like fault her for feeling how she feels? Not necessarily. And if she has to run through everybody, gotta do what you gotta do, you know.
Yeah, I totally understand Candy Crush's feelings and they're very valid. So I don't blame her for challenging all of those women because quite frankly, I mean, when you tear up something that means something to someone and you do it out of malice and you do it, and then you stand in it and then you try to like mess with them about it, like that just makes you a bully. I feel like I use that word a whole lot when it comes to people, but it's just like I just feel like that just makes you a bully. It's almost like you're basking in the fact that you're making this person suffer, and that's what it seems like. The Coven girls are doing. Let me just call them the Coven girls for now, as opposed to calling like all their names like that, because it's a lot to say. But the Coven girls seem to really be, trying to mess with her, and it's just not fair. So I love that Candy Crush is not letting anything stand in her way, even though she did, face defeat in this match against Robbie Rocket. But either way, I mean, I just thought it was a very bad call on the part of Siren to just get in her head like that. Like, ma'am, like, stop. But either way, I do look forward to seeing more of Candy, showing a more aggressive side and looking to get vengeance, because you just don't mess with nobody's stuff like that. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. So moving forward with the rest of the show, we had a little backstage segment involving Ice Cold and Foxy Fierce. Now Foxy Fierce, of course, was walking backstage and she ran into Ice Cold, and they both sort of elicited a challenge to each other because they had unfinished business. Because the first time they were supposed to fight each other in earlier episodes, of course, when the season first started, they got interrupted by Miss Jessie Jones, who was looking for a partner for the tag team tournament at the time. So they never really got to finish what they had going on. So this was a nice little continuation into that, because usually when it comes to certain shows or certain wrestling shows like that, like sometimes they'll let certain feuds fall by the wayside, and there's never really any follow up to it, and there's nothing to ever finish it in terms of a feud. But it was nice to see that there was a follow up with this, matchup, and with this unfinished business. So I was glad to see this, take place. And so after that happened, they went to commercial and then they came back, and we finally had their match between Ice Cold and Foxy Fierce. This match was very impressive. It was really impressive, definitely on the part of Foxy Fierce, who lately, has been she hasn't really fully been winning a whole lot, even though as much as I love her, definitely, I love her attitude, love her spunk, love her energy that she brings to the match. It just felt like she would always either somehow get distracted or somehow somebody would ruin something for her and she wouldn't necessarily win. This time we saw more of what she had to offer in the ring. You saw more of her submission work, you saw more of her high flying stuff, and you also saw a lot of the same things out of Ice Cold as well. They were kind of evenly matched. Um and it was just a really good match where you saw all of their abilities, spring forth. And something that I thought was interesting was the fact that Foxy Fierce has a move, one of her finishing moves, which is kind of like they called it, I forgot what they called it. Oh my gosh. It was a dance move and it was just like they called it, it was the name of a dance move and I can't remember what it was. But it kind of put you in the mind of the Rear View by Naomi. And I was just like, oh, it just made me realize how much I really haven't seen that in a while. And I was just like, man, that's cool. I'm glad she did that. But at the same time, it made me think of Trinity/Naomi. And I'm just like, girl, I miss you. But either way, it was still cool. Um, but either way, Foxy Fierce wound up winning the match after Ice Cold went for a splash and then she missed it. And then after she missed it, Foxy Fierce tied her up with a submission and had her sort of like bent backwards with her and had her back like stretched out, and she wound up winning the match with a submission. And I was just like, wow, I just didn't expect that from her. But it makes sense for someone who knows so much about the human body as a yogi instructor. Like that just made a whole lot of sense. So Foxy Fierce wound up winning that match, and I thought that was a huge moment for her, and it was a beautiful showing. So Kat, how did you feel about this match and both girls' performance?
Like you said, I do believe they were kind of evenly matched at points. It seemed like while their style was a bit different, it was also moments that seemed similar enough that I felt like I couldn't really tell who was going to win this match. I was happy with the win, and it's nothing against Ice Cold, but we've been rooting for Miss Foxy Fierce for some time, and there's been a lot of shenanigans with the outcomes of her matches, and so I was like, yay, super hyped that she found like she got the win, and yeah, she's just so fabulous and everything. And so, like, just again, I'm just bringing it back to when we were in LA, just being near her and just all that fabulousness and all the greatness that was her hair and everything. It's just,
Yes.
it's nice to see. It's nice to see Black women being able to be in the element like that, and it's like unapologetic, and I love that. And so, I thought it was a really solid match. I thought they both killed it. But I was happy with Foxy winning. I felt like I was like, stop, because y'all was getting me upset, okay? And over here in New York, get me upset. Stop with these shenanigans, okay? And so I was glad that she won. And I'm hoping again going forward we can get some more wins for her. Again, I think they both really killed it, but and you mentioned Naomi, and of course I miss her too. Maybe soon, guys, give us back our girl. But yeah, again, it's nice seeing Black women in wrestling kind of being unapologetically who they are, and that includes the big hair, all of that. It's good to see. Again, we're not boxes and we're not cookie cutter, and so I love all of that. And so it was a good match, and I was really happy that she got the victory on this.
Me too. I was absolutely thrilled, and just the idea of seeing her skill and how it's just continued to evolve and get better. And I just love how you mentioned her in LA. It was just so amazing to meet her and actually interview her after seeing her in action and stuff. So it was just like to see her, in this episode, on the heels of that, and then seeing how she was just progressing and getting 10 times better. It's just awesome. And yeah, like you said, we love to see Black women, succeeding in wrestling and just doing a fantastic, phenomenal job. And I even looked in the comments, while watching it back again, and a lot of people really feel like she could very well qualify, to win a world title at some point, the WoW world title. So, and I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. Like that would be great. But Miss Foxy really did a fantastic job, and I was really proud of her. So yeah. And never change, never stop that dancing thing, because it's awesome. It's really awesome. So moving forward with the rest of the show, we had another backstage segment involving my arch nemesis. I have to say it. My arch nemesis, Penelope Pink, of course, with her mentor, the fabulous Lana Starr. They were backstage and they were looking at, themselves in the mirror and primping and stuff, but they were alluding to the possibility of something that they had cooking up, which just felt really evil and really sinister. And I'm just like, girl, what you got going on? What's going on? What are we doing? What more can you do to us? What girl, what? And I'm just like, and they were just talking about how after their match they might reveal, whatever the surprise might be. And I'm just like, what surprise could you possibly have for us that isn't going to make us happy? Because ultimately, it's only going to be for y'all. It's a surprise, that's going to surprise everyone else. But ultimately, it's going to make y'all happy and it's going to be to y'all benefit. So I don't know why in the world y'all sitting here dangling this carrot in front of our face. Like, just get it over with. But of course, they got to let stuff, hang on until the very end. So we going to get into that a little bit later. But Katrina, you look like you had something else you wanted to add.
Oh no, I was just laughing when you said your arch nemesis because it's like it's like I felt like just watch how we've been. I mean, you've been more vocal about it than I've been about the shenanigans with her over the past few months. But then again, kind of see it in person, it's just like, like sometimes just things fit properly and things just kind of fall together. So to kind of see the two of you kind of together, and then maybe think of that when you said that. So that was all.
Yes, because she just they just get on my nerves, okay? And then what's so funny is I got to tell my boyfriend and his family about it as we were watching the episode, because we were all gathered to watch, Deadline and stuff on the NXT side of things. But we were watching WoW before, and I was telling them, everything that happened between us, and they were just like, "Oh my god, are you serious?" And I'm like, yeah." And even while I was live tweeting while it was on, she actually retweeted one of the things I said. And my boyfriend was just laughing. So it's really funny. But yeah, it's a very serious thing. Like, we seriously have a beef. Like, it's one of the most underrated beefs this year. So it's okay. And I feel like it'll only get better with time. And it'll definitely get better as the more we get into this episode. It's gonna get better, it's gonna get hotter. I'm excited. So, leading into that, we get into this match that Miss Penelope Pink and Lana Starr, of course, had with Chantilly Chella. And yeah, this match was pretty good because of course, with Chantilly Chella coming out with her spirited stuff and then with her cape, and David caught it yet again, and much to the chagrin of AJ Mendez. Um this match was really good. You got to see, of course, a lot of everything that Chantilly Chella has offered, since WoW has come back on, in terms of her kickboxing background and stuff like that. But even with all of her high flying, you had Penelope Pink, who I do still have to give credit to, as much as we, aren't on the same side of things. She is a fantastic wrestler, and she worked her down with her ground and pound. And then, of course, you had Lana Starr, with her shenanigans whenever the referee was distracted by whatever it was that Penelope Pink was doing. She was always yanking on her hair and, trying to distract Chantilly Chella and mush her in the face and all that. So it was just basically, par for the course for the Pink crew. And the match wound up ending with Penelope Pink hitting this really, really impressive maneuver that she calls the Pretty in Pink neck breaker onto Chantilly Chella, and she wound up winning the match with that. So yeah, Penelope Pink won. Lana Starr helped with that. And the referee, of course, was not doing his job, not watching everything, not keeping his head on a swivel, letting them get away with stuff, whatever. And then after the match was over, they got on the microphone and basically messed with David McLean and basically said that they were going to pull their surprise on everyone, at the main event, and basically, make us suffer towards the end of the main event in order to, tell us about what beautiful surprise they had. And they also made David McClain make room at the commentary desk for them to sit and watch the main event. And AJ Mendez, of course, who kind of teeters and totters between heel and face color commentary, was like happy to have girl power at the table, which I understand because I mean, for it to be wow, y'all do have more men at the commentary desk than y'all do women. So I can understand AJ being excited about that. But honestly, David, do better. Have more women on commentary all the time. Please. Like, you know, hire out. Hire me. But either way, um but either way, they said they were going to be on commentary for the main event. And then before we get into that, wait, Kat, how did you feel about this match and the shenanigans that Penelope Pink and Lana Star have going on?
It was a good match, but I feel like we are aware now that anytime we have a match with Penelope Pink, there's going to be some shenanigans. Lana is going to be there doing something. It's gonna be something. And Nikki did say earlier that she liked Lana, which is why I waited to post the comment because I knew we were gonna get to her. But yeah, I feel like anytime we have a match with Penelope Pink, we already know that Lana is gonna interfere or do something in some capacity. It's gonna be something. And so this was no surprise. I knew it was gonna be some interference. And while the end was a pretty, I was like, okay, that's a dope move. I can't even say that. It was a dope way, I guess, to end the match. It still was just like, but why must it go to this way? And of course, the referee never see. Apparently, I feel like this is probably and then nothing against WoW, but I feel like they're probably the worst referees because I feel like every week the guys are missing something. Every week, it may be okay once in a while, fine. Referees tend to miss things sometimes. In wrestling promotions, but I'm like every week we just having all types of shenanigans the whole episode, and we just not seeing nothing. Referees, like, all right, maybe y'all need to get it together, do some eye training exercise or something, because how are y'all missing it every week? It's like, come on. So of course the referee didn't see it, but I thought it was a good match, but I wasn't surprised by the shenanigans. I feel like I expect shenanigans from them. It's like it's expectation now. It's like I'll be surprised if they don't do anything. I'll be like, oh, okay, made me look wrong today, but I expect that from them, and so it wasn't. But I thought it was a really good match otherwise.
Yeah, I tend to expect shenanigans from them myself, but at the same time, it's just in watching Penelope Pink wrestle, it's like I can say this, because I can see the facts there. Um, she's so good, and I just feel like she doesn't really need the shenanigans of Lana Star. Even though I understand that Lana Star is a wow, icon, and that it does help to have an icon who does believe in you in that way. It's just that Penelope Pink shows time and time again that she really doesn't need all of the shenanigans. She can just win of her own merit. Like, even though she does have a bad attitude, and there was a part where she thought where she, played with Chantilly's emotions and act like she was going to hit her and then slapped her, in the corner. It's just like, ma'am, like, you're already good by yourself. Why do you need to, to resort to all of these, devilish tactics in order to win? Like, why? Like, you're already so good. Like, Penelope, no. Stop it. You're so good. Like, why do you have to do that? But some people just really feel like they got to do that. So I mean, whatever. So that's where we're at now with Penelope, and Lana. And to Nikki's comment, I understand how you would like Lana Star and what she has to offer. Nikki B, it's funny. I'd be looking at at Nikki stuff, and Nikki really be leaning on heel side all the time. And it'd be so funny. But I feel like one day she and I need to be on a show together just to see how it would be like. But I love you, Nikki. But it's just funny to me. But either way, Penelope Pink came out with the win. But that is not the last that we will see of her and Lana Star. Now, before we got to this main event, they did allude to hearing more from the Beast, who is out with injury. And of course, because she is the WoW World Champion, we'll hear more from her next week. But then they also went into a whole segment where they were talking about more of the history of the WoW tag titles. But then while also doing that, they talked about more of the past in terms of women's tag team history, like before WoW or Glow or anything really ever existed as we know it now. Like back in the old days, they were talking about, the first ever tag team championship matches how they took place in California, ironically. And I thought that was really nice to hear. And they mentioned the likes of Mae Young, and then of course, the likes of later on in life Wendy Richter and so many other people who pioneered women's tag team wrestling. And you saw a lot of the older belts and stuff like that. And I thought that was really cool to see, because from a history perspective, we weren't born then. So it's really nice to see stuff like that when you see, how far women's wrestling and women's tag team wrestling goes, and how it really deserves a whole lot more respect, than it tends to get. So I really appreciated that. And then they also talked about the history of WoW tag team wrestling, and you saw, of course, the likes of um Fire. You saw the likes of Kiera Hogan and Diamante hold the titles, and the tag team that was dressed like as prisoners, you saw them with the titles and everything. And of course, you go fast forward into the today of things, with the actual end to the tag team tournament for those tag team titles between Miami's Sweet Heat and the Tonga Twins, who was our favorite to win the entire time. This match was fire. This match was really good. Of course, you saw everything that we've come to expect from these two teams. You had all the power and the strength from the Tonga Twins, and then you had the tag team continuity and chemistry of Miami's Sweet Heat. It was just a lot of back and forth going between the two. There was lots of high flying, lots of hard hitting stuff. It was just really, really amazing tag team work from both of these teams. And it wound up ending in a way that none of us were truly expecting. Because as Penelope Pink and Lana Starr, as the match kept going, Penelope Pink and Lana Starr were on commentary, but then they were acting like, they were too busy to really care, because they were primping themselves and, of course, being self absorbed in the mirror, because they got to be cute and stuff. So they acted like they were getting ready to go backstage, and just primp and, prepare to celebrate, Penelope winning the match, right? That turned out not to be true. They took their mirrors, went to the front of the ring, and were distracting to the Tonga Twins as Miami Sweet Heat was sort of gathering themselves and getting themselves together for their next maneuver. And they took their mirrors and smacked the Tonga Twins in the face with them and broke glass everywhere. And in the midst of this happening, Miami's Sweet Heat, Lori, and Lindsay took advantage of that distraction, covered both of the twins, and wound up winning the WoW Tag Team titles. So now our tag team champions are Lori and Lindsay, Miami's Sweet Heat. And that is how the episode of WoW Superheroes ended. We got new tag team champions, and they weren't who we were predicting that it was going to be. Ever since this tournament started, we had been bigging up the Tonga Twins constantly, all the time. Like Chaos and Kona, it was all about them, all about them, all about them every episode. But nope. Penelope Pink, my arch nemesis, and Lana Starr decided to rear in their heads, and now they've manipulated the system, and these tag champions are now Miami Sweet Heat. Katrina, Katrina, Katrina. Katrina, Katrina, Katrina. How are you feeling about this turn of events? And are you as irritated as I am?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So, now we said multiple times from the very beginning, we thought it would be the two of these groups. We thought that. I felt like this was too good of an opportunity to not have sisters versus sisters. I felt like you had to have this happen, and so it did. But I felt like when it came down to certain aspects of what I like to see in a tag team, and again, this is no shade at all to Miami Sweet Heat, I felt like the Tonga Twins had that. It was a different type of like tenacity, or like, stuff that they did previously leading up to this that I liked. And that's why I kept saying I truly believe they were going to win this, because of the things I've been seeing. And so it was all these shenanigans for the last couple of weeks already. we were supposed to get the match, and then there was a triple threat match, and then it was kind of elimination thing, and then there was kind of where are they for like 1 week, and so it was already like, I'm not liking that we're doing these shenanigans in this manner because they might have won a few weeks ago. Who knows? Okay, we didn't get that option because there was all this stuff involved. When they were supposed to get the first finals for the tag team, and then there's a triple threat match, and then they had to do like that elimination thing, and it was all this weird stuff. And so the fact that after you finally get to have the matchup that you could have had for it to be interference, and I'm like, you guys, I've been waiting for this match for weeks. For weeks, I wanted to see them really get down and dirty with just them, just the twins versus twins. All I wanted to see. Okay, and then I'm thinking even like I posted the photos, I believe, of like on my page from them, and I shared it on Women's Wrestling Talk Instagram. And one of the Tango twins definitely responded like "boo," and so it's like, and I was like, "Well, we love you too.
Girl,
we love you guys as well. We love you guys as well." Yes, it was on. So I had to screenshot because I laughed. It was funny. I will send it to you later. But yes, she was like "boo," and I'm like, "Well, we love the Tango twins here as well. We love you guys too." I didn't want to be like extra, like, "Oh, we love you more" or anything, but I love you guys too. And so it's unfortunate that we finally get the matchup we've been waiting for weeks for them to be like, "Oh no, let's have some interference." And now these, and like I said, maybe they would have won it on their own, but we don't know that because there was interference. And so we don't even know if Miami Sweet Heat could have won by themselves because we didn't get that option to see it. And so it's like, oh man, did the Tonga twins truly lose because they were not better or because it was just this interference? Like, we don't even know who the better set was in this matchup because of what happened. And so I was highly, highly, highly irritated. Congratulations, regardless, to Miami Sweet Heat, but I was irritated that that was the route they went. You know, and you know, we were privy to certain things, but like, like this is how we like this is this how we like this is how it goes down. Like, if this is what I just I don't know. It's just it was very unfortunate. I was kind of I'm not gonna lie, I was annoyed because it was just like, no, we waited so long to finally get this matchup with them, and it still wasn't a proper match. And I'm now like, it's like, what do the twins do now? Do they just have them continue doing tag work, or is it going to be like they're going to have them feud? What's happening? We don't know. But I was annoyed. I felt like, why do we have to? Why? I'm not going to lie. Somebody almost got a letter. Okay, somebody almost got a letter. You know, if I got to get to the point where I might have to write some letters, that's a problem. Okay, for me. And so yeah, it's unfortunate that it went that way, but congratulations to Miami Sweet becoming the new tag champions. But I just hated that that was the way it went. Like, I was just, oh, can we not have, it's like so much shenanigans that was involved with this tournament from the very beginning with like Jesse popping back in and out with different partners. I was like, what? That's how it works now? You can just be like, oh, no, next week I got a new partner. There was already shenanigans in the very beginning. So I feel like it just ended with shenanigans. I'm just like, that could have given me 1 week with nothing, with like no nonsense involved. Can I give me 1 week? So it's unfortunate, but again, congratulations to them. I just wish it didn't go in that manner. Like, they didn't win it in that manner.
Yes. I agree with everything you just said because honestly, this tag team tournament has been a whirlwind. It really has been a whirlwind. And it's just the idea of it, you know, we thought we had moved one team out of the way in the form of Holodead and Chainsaw because they interfered and stuck their nose in it, even though they had lost previously in the tournament. And then we thought we had just moved them out of the way finally with that triple threat. And then now we're here at like the 2. And then all of a sudden, it's just now we have to like worry about Penelope Pink and Lana Star. Like, what is their deal? Like, are we having like why like did Miami Sweet Heat know that this was gonna happen? Like, were they, you know, in on the fix the entire time, or did they really think that they wanted, you know, fair and square? Like, there's just so much drama surrounding it that it almost overshadows the fact that this tag team tournament really was, you know, the best of the best, outside of course Jesse Jones trying to, you know, interfere in her way. Not in no shade at her because she is really good, but I'm just saying, you know, that was a part of it that was kind of distracting at first. But then in the midst of that, you know, you have these two teams who did make it, and then for the first time ever, you had these you had two sets of twins fighting, and that just never happened before. And then all of this is ruined just because the pink crew, decided to just rear end their heads and just think they could just run everything. Like, what is it? Like, what do they want with Miami Sweet Heat? Like, what is their deal? Like, are they just trying to like pull a hostile takeover over WoW? Is that what they're trying to do? Like, it's aggravating. It's just aggravating. And I'm just like, what are y'all doing? Like, it was already bad enough that Penelope thinks that she could just stroll in and just think she's supposed to have a chance at the Wild World title. Now you're interfering in tag team business. And it's just like, girl, why? It's just so frustrating. It is so frustrating. But yeah, congratulations to Miami Sweet Heat, because they did fight hard in the tournament and they did fight hard, to get to the finals, So I won't take that part away from them at all because they do have that chemistry and they're really good as a tag team. Their mechanics are, almost second to none. But it's like you said, it makes you wonder, if they would have won. I feel like there was a really good chance of them winning had Penelope Pink and Lana not, interfered because they were really good. But the Tonga twins, they were, just as good, if not better, and if not more powerful. So we just won't know. But we also don't know if the Tonga twins might, call for a rematch because of how that went. You just never truly know in that aspect. So
Yeah.
there's just so much to look forward to with these next couple of episodes. But that was just a very dramatic way to, end it. But ooh, Paint Crew, my God, on today. We just gotta Penelope, stop it. Everything's not about you. Just like I told you in LA. Everything is not about y'all. And I don't care, if you pop up in the comments or if you pop up in, on my Twitter and, give me a weird meme. Whatever. Everything's not about you. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can come to Alabama. We can fight about it. Anyway, that's the end of our show. That's the end of our Monday night show for WoW Superheroes. A really great episode, very dramatic. Of course, if you have not watched it before, please give it a chance because it's a really good show. Watch it as it comes on Saturdays on any CBS affiliate. Please look for it on your guide. It comes on Saturdays at different times depending on where you are. Please, support women's wrestling and just continue to watch it and support it, and then we'll be here at Women's Wrestling Talk to talk about it. So Katrina, thank you for joining me. Sadly, Emily May wasn't able to join us, but hopefully she'll be back next week. But Katrina, let us know where we can find you and what you've got going on.
I am on most social media platforms and Cat We Trust. If you're on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, the E is a 3. It's been slowing down. It's just been an insane couple of months, honestly, with all this panel stuff, and so it is finally kind of slowed down, which is good because again, holiday time, I gotta be more into my mom, my kids, and not that I'm not. I gotta clarify that I am, but when you're doing a whole bunch of wrestling stuff and all these panels, it gets a bit hectic, and so kind of looking forward to kind of just slowing everything down and kind of being more with my kids stuff. But I do plan. I know because I totally slacked, guys, on my YouTube channel because it's there, but I haven't posted anything new. They have all these videos I recorded. I just haven't uploaded them, and so they're there. I will have to do that. I actually don't think I'm going to do any more interviews for the rest of the year, and so hopefully 2023 we'll start that up back with interviewing some wrestlers. And I will be posting as well. I haven't had a chance to do that yet because I've been really busy, but the LA edition of my panel will be posted, and Stephanie is on there as well as our boss lady TK, and it was a really awesome panel to have. So that's what's going on my end. Pretty, low key.
Well, Katrina, if I do say so myself, you deserve for it to be low key. You really do. You really do. Because you've been busy, you've been working, you've been creating, you've been crafting, and you deserve the opportunity to chill out. Well, I guess not.
No,
So
no, you're right. I just like I gotta tell myself it's okay to rest sometimes. I'll be like, but maybe I should be doing these things, and so it's okay to rest. So I'm taking it as like it's okay, Katrina. You don't have to be busy every moment.
yeah, you do. You do have to do that sometimes. But for me, it's just like I feel like anytime I try to rest, it just never works out because I always wind up connecting with someone else or wanting to talk to somebody else. So it just never helps. It never helps. I never try. I never really rest. It's bad. But either way, while I'm not resting, you can find and follow me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram and Twitter at Queen Steph Hardy. And of course, you can listen to my podcast, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, everywhere you get your shows. I do have an interview up on my YouTube channel, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, that I had yesterday with the top guy, Griffin McCoy, who is going to be facing off against the iconic Kenta at CZW Live this coming Sunday in New Jersey. So I was able to talk to him. So please check that out, because that was a really great interview. And of course, I will have more stuff cooking with the Hardy Wrestling Podcast as well. So please be on the lookout for that. But in the meantime, also continue to support and follow Women's Wrestling Talk. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at WWTalkPod. And also, subscribe to us and follow us on Twitch at WWTalkPod, and also on YouTube at Women's Wrestling Talk. Subscribe and ring the bell so you can get notified of all of our videos and all of our live platforms, because we have after shows almost every day and interviews almost every day, as well as our articles on www.talkpod.com and so much other content, including Women's Wrestling Talk merchandise that you can buy for that special someone who loves women's wrestling and Women's Wrestling Talk, for Christmas, because Christmas is coming up, or whatever holiday, you celebrate as well, because there are other ones thrown in there too. So, for that special person, you can buy a gift for them, and celebrate the holidays with that. So yeah, just continue to support us, because we're going to keep on working for you all the way into 2023. It's going to be awesome. So in the meantime, this has been Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. And until next time, bye. Have a good week.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.